Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Welcome to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We're following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And you'll find here age-old system of the Vedic teachings given in a simple way that anyone can practice. For we welcome the united citizens of the transcendental airwaves, wherever you're tuning in from, to upgrade what you listen to means to upgrade your life. This is the simple formula given in the ancient Vedas, Anavriti Shabdat, that through sound you can become liberated. One of the simple processes that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught for coming instantly in contact with the transcendence is to repeat the divine names of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In his famous Shikshashtakam, which are teachings which essentialize the process of devotional service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the Lord has unlimited names, and in all his names, he has invested his personal divine potencies. And therefore, simply by repeating the names, remembering the names of the Lord, one can derive the utmost benefit, the highest benefit of life, coming in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he recommended that everyone from any part of the world can participate in this chanting process. There are many names of God indeed, however, the name Krishna indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's attractive to everyone. He's the supreme attractor. We're all looking for a place to place our attention, an object that we can meditate upon that will satisfy us. However, In this material world, whatever we focus on gradually changes into something else. Just as in a dream, oftentimes we may be dreaming that we're being married and carried off by a famous prince, and then he transforms into something less than favorable very quickly in one or two moments. In this world, sometimes the change takes a little bit longer, but it does take place, and we become disappointed. However, Krishna's features are ever fresh, and he's always attractive and becoming more and more beautiful. Our minds seek this kind of beauty, actually, and we need form and engagement. Recently, I took a 14-hour flight from Delhi to Vancouver. It's actually just Wednesday. And I realized after 13 and a half hours that was about as long as I like to stay in one fuselage. I don't know how 17 would be, it's too much. And I was thinking, why is that? The freedom to see what I want to see, the free light, the variety of the world, and control the sound vibration is not available there. And Prabhupada used to mention this, if you stay up in the sky without engagement, you soon want to step on the earth again and be reconnected. So this feeling is within everybody in the material world. There's kind of anxiousness everyone has. When we become connected with Krishna, we naturally feel that we're breathing again and that we're being filled up. And this meaning, the name Krishna means that which attracts our attention, rightly so, and connects us to our real self. The Vedas say the only reason that we're really protective of our bodies is because we're in them. As soon as we leave the body, neither can we protect it, nor does anybody else. It simply gets burned or thrown out somewhere. And therefore, we should understand that the really important part of the body is the spiritual soul. But where does the soul come from? It comes from Krishna. So if we're attracted to ourself, and we're self-protective and self-interested, and we understand what is the source of our self, Atmanam Akilatmanam, Shukadeva Goswami says, Krishna is the soul of our soul. How much fulfillment will we find there? And this is the idea behind chanting Krishna's names. Number one, that there's no difference between Krishna and his name, and that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, is the origin of all other energies, including all other forms of Godhead. And he contains the most attractive features that we're all searching for. We can't be satisfied in a void, nor can we be satisfied with simple stillness. We need a relationship. And that can be established by calling the name, just as much as we may notice in this world, when you learn someone's name and you repeat it, or you call someone by their name, they respond because it's very personal. And the process of devotional service is very personal also. How much more personal can you get than calling out the name of God? So the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is extremely accommodating. One point that is made frequently is it's written in the vocative form. Sanskrit has different ways of declension in nouns, and the vocative form means that it's a prayerful form. You're declaring something. You're simply speaking it out. Like, oh my God, oh my God. People often say that nowadays. It's simply a declarative statement. And Hare comes from the word Hari. It's the name of Krishna, Hari, which means one who takes away. Don't panic, because what he takes away is our misery. And whatever burden we have, he takes away. That's Hari. He's the one who can actually divest us of those things which we've been holding on to for a long time that aren't good for us. He's very expert at that. And the other derivative is hara, which means the divine energy, internal energy of the Lord, who's the natural counterpart to Krishna, Radharani, the compassionate female counterpart of Krishna, Radha. And when we say her name, it's also Hare. And then Krishna I've just described as the attractor. And Rama is described in the Sanskrit literatures to mean the one who can attract us away from lower things in this world. Unless we're given a higher cause, we generally don't give up the lower one. Unless we're given a better job, we don't abandon the one we have, because there's no impetus. If someone says, I'll give you twice the money and you work half the hours, then it's not such a hard choice, is it? And similarly, the Shastras say that Rama means that for whom the yogis give up this world. And not because they're straining to do so, but because they have something higher. And that's Rama. They're actually tasting something that's superior. And this is a principle that Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita when he says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasadehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param jishva nivartate. When you see something higher, when you taste it for yourself, then there's no longer restraint of the senses for their objects, or the objects that are dragging it into distraction. But naturally one becomes attracted to the higher thing. And this is really an important goal in life, is to become reconnected with our higher purpose, which is to love Krishna. So the Hare Krishna mantra altogether with Hare Krishna and Rama is meant to awaken love for God within our heart. And love is the object of yoga. Yogino, what is the verse for? Yoginam api sarvesham madgatanantaratmana sharavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. Krishna says at the end of the chapter in which he describes meditation, that actually the highest form of meditation takes place when one develops love, because you've all experienced when you love somebody, you can't stop thinking about them, even if you want to. And if you love a child, all it takes is you just see the shoes on the porch, and immediately your heart is consumed thinking of the child 24 hours a day, or whatever your object of love is. And so when Krishna, God, becomes the object of our love, then this is the perfect state. Prema Pumarto Mahan, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is the perfect goal for human life, is to develop this love. It's the highest motivation in life. How can that be done? Especially by the repetition of God's names. So this is the doctrine of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's really to depend on this process of chanting. So let's start today, besides what I just said, with a kirtan, which means that we'll sing together the names of the Lord through the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And I'll sing and then you can repeat. And just sing from the heart and feel the effects of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. So, of course, that was an example of Kirtan. And the syllables we utter do matter. You might try mixing them up someday and see what happens. The order in which we say things, how we say things, makes a difference in our life. So much so that Rupa Goswami, one of the greatest teachers of bhakti-yoga, whom we follow in the footsteps of in our line of devotional service, begins his most essentialized teachings on bhakti in the Upadeshamrita, or they're called the nectar of devotion, with the utterance of vacho vegam, that one must be careful what one says and how one says it, and control the tongue and speech. There's a process called replacement therapy, which means that when you have a habit, it has to be replaced with something. We can't just stop what we're doing. So the replacement for speaking all kinds of syllables that don't really amount to anything ultimately, as the Bhagavatam compares it, human beings to animals. When animals wake up in the morning, especially the birds, they somehow or other know when the sun's coming up. Have you ever noticed that? Right after I finished school, I was so really fried out. I got in a car and took a tent. I went out into the wilderness and I just stayed out there for a while. And I noticed before I could tell that the sun was coming up, the animals did, especially the birds. They started singing. I got out of my tent and said, "What are you talking about?" They could tell it was coming up. But what they were talking about was, oh boy, where's the worm? And there's going to be bugs in here soon, and so forth. Of course, we could always romanticize it and say something else, but the Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that they're singing because they're literally singing for their breakfast. So, and for mating, of course. And therefore, the Bhagavatam says all kinds of animals are asking questions, they're saying things, but it's all for the purpose of satisfying the body. So if one elevates one's speech to talk about Krishna and the tenets of Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna has presented them so simply for us, then just by that, replacing a lower kind of speech with a higher kind of speech, then one naturally rises up to a higher level of consciousness. Our consciousness will follow the kind of speech that we bring into the world and into our own environment. So I was thinking the other day, there are kinds of questions that people ask wherever one goes, and I want you to see if you get the same kinds of questions when you walk about the world. One of them is people say, "How are you doing?" Have you ever heard that before? Well, first of all, as somebody pointed out, and I'm sure you've heard this before, I'm not a human doing, I'm a human being, so I guess it wouldn't be appropriate to say how you be. But in any case, when I was thinking about the answer to this, it's almost cynically, I'm thinking like, my answer in my mind is I'm doing what I can, but I'm not the controller or ultimate doer. There are 5 factors involved with every action I take. People, I don't think, put a lot of thought into the question, "How are you doing?" And even if I answer, it's not like they're listening necessarily. "How are you doing?" "Terrible." "Oh, that's nice." "Do you want to pay for cash, or you want cash or credit card?" And another question, people ask, "Who are you?" And the answer is not anyone you can see with your eyes. And the other day someone mentioned to me, or I heard the phrase, that every person is an ancient book. I like that because books are so, in a way, venerable, especially old books. They connect us to history, to previous eras and cultures, languages, thoughts, and so forth. Even authors who lived thousands of years ago. And each one of us is an ancient book. But it's very hard to see because with my material senses, I only really see the body. I don't actually see the soul. I don't see the person, and I can't see what each soul has gone through, the millennia of transmigration going from one body to the next. We do, however, hear about this in Srimad Bhagavatam, for instance, in the story of Bharat Maharaj, who was a great king. And he had gone to the forest in order to pursue a path of meditation and connecting with the Supreme, which he was doing. quite well through his meditation and chanting of his mantra. He was really meditating on the sun god and seeing that Lord Narayan lives within the sun, and he was performing all the tenets of Ashtanga yoga and attained a high state of consciousness. And then he got distracted one day because a deer had a miscarriage and gave birth prematurely to a fawn. The mother deer died, and the fawn survived somehow. There was floating in the water, and he got up from his meditational seat and saved the fawn, but then he became absorbed in just taking care of it. And of course, as anybody who watches social media knows, little baby animal movies get more clicks than anything. 50, 100 million clicks for a little kitten or something that opens a lock. So that's what happened to him. And he became absorbed in that. And then in his next life, he took birth as a deer, but with full awareness that he'd been a deer in his last life. And then he became really sober-minded, even in the body of a deer. And in the next life, he took birth as an elevated soul, Jad Bharat. But he didn't expose that to the world. He kept himself hidden. That is, he didn't expose his learning, his knowledge, his wisdom, and his journey to even his family until later on when he met Maharaj Rahugana. It's a long story, but I'm giving just a sample that the Srimad Bhagavatam, the most quintessential of writings on bhakti-yoga, gives us the insight into the sojourn of every soul going through the world through many different lifetimes. And we've all been on that journey since, as the Shastras say, a time immemorial. We can't trace it out. It's so long. So every one of us is an ancient book. So when someone says, who are you? We may give some superficial answer. I'm a student. I'm an American. I'm a supporter of such and such a party. And these are all what we call upadhis, or temporary designations. The soul actually has an eternal swarup, which is that it's Krishna Das, or a servant of God. But when it comes in contact with the material nature, it takes on a designation. And this is compared to a clear crystal, which is put next to a red rose. And then the clear crystal is tinged red. The redness is actually not in the crystal, it just appears to be. So in a similar way, in my contact with this world, and because of my association, I develop certain designations as a man, woman, cat, dog, American, Indian, Russian, Republican, Democrat, etc., etc. And all these actually are not in me. The Vedas say, asango hyayam purushaha, that the soul, the pure soul, has nothing really to do with the material world. What to speak of these designations, which are here today, gone tomorrow. In fact, we see it before our eyes. And this is even in the Bhagavatam, the story of Sadyumna in the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was cursed, who he walked into the wrong place at the wrong time. He got, Parvati had put actually she was disturbed, was Parvati, the wife of Shiva, because some sages walked into a private place where she and Lord Shiva were together, and so Lord Shiva made it that if anybody comes here in the future in this area, they'll turn into a woman. And so King Sadyumna and his retinue were riding through the forest, and suddenly they looked down and they all changed into women, including the horses. Of course, that got reversed later on by the power of his guru, but then the best he could do was that every month he would change. He would be a male one month and a female the next. It was hard for him to rule the kingdom. This is in the Bhagavatam, and it's indicative. We see it all at once within a few pages, but this is indicative of the way that we move. From one life to the next. One life I'm a man, next time I'm a woman, and then I identify with that. But even in this life, oftentimes people identify as a woman, and then they identify as a man, vice versa. There are even phenomena where somebody can change from hour to hour and identify either way. In any case, the identification with the external body is superfluous. Of course, it definitely has some consequence here in this world because of social constructs and so forth. The fact is that it's a fluid situation, and these upadhis are not permanent. We're simply moving through. So this idea, who are you, and me giving some glib answer that this is who I am, is really shallow, and therefore it's not very satisfying at all. Those who are on the path of spiritual life dig a lot deeper into who they are. And the best place to dig is in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can really start to see who we are and who we aren't also. And another question, how long will you be here? I mean, I always find that curious because I could fly halfway across the world and you just get there. When did you come? Last night. How long will you be here? And in my mind, I'm always thinking, I have no idea. And neither do you. None of us have any idea how long we're going to be here. It could be, 5 seconds. I really don't know. Although I have my plans, and oftentimes plans get canceled. Airlines get, we were leaving last year, and there was some airspace dispute over Pakistan, leaving India, and they said, oh, you can't fly because Pakistan closed its airspace. And this time, I heard they were canceling flights because Delhi was too polluted. And I don't know how the pilots could see to take off in that kind of pollution. It's a little bit heavy. But we have no lease agreement here. It's not been settled. No one's offered us any idea how long we get to stay in these bodies. This can be quite sobering if we really think about it. In fact, Yudhishthira, when he was asked what is the most amazing thing in this world, this is in the Mahabharata, said the most amazing thing is everyone thinks they're going to stay here forever. And we're working like that, thinking this is my permanent place. I'm really digging in here, thinking that this is my real interest in supporting this body and so forth. When the Bhagavatam says your body's going to be supported anyway, you're on life support, just like the squirrels. They're being supported. They get free persimmons this time of year. In the summer, they get free plums. The birds, free insects. As long as people don't pollute the atmosphere so much so that they drop dead. That's another thing. But humans also, there's enough. There's enough around that everyone can handle. You may not be able to live in Manhattan. But the fact is we're being taken care of, so it shouldn't be the major issue. How to just sustain the body and stay in this world as long as possible. And then when leaving, someone might say, and people do say, when will you be back? And the answer, of course, is, I'm not sure, but I'm here right now. And when are you coming back? I don't know, but all I could do for you is what I can do right now, factually, because I have no idea. And we don't know where we're going either when we leave this world. Although in worldly circumstances, we would prepare when we're leaving somewhere, like, where are you going? Who's going to pick you up when you get there? Don't we take great care about that? Maybe even get travel insurance? I mean, but who takes care nowadays? Who in the U.S. government's thinking about what happens when they leave the body and where they're going to go? Who in the world is teaching that in universities? They're teaching about how to exploit the scarce resources that we have on the planet right now so that you can get as much as you can while you're still alive. But what about when you leave? We don't know where we're going and when we're going to come back. So all these questions are pressing questions. They should be asked. And therefore the Vedas say, Tato Brahma Jignasa. Ask these questions. And the place that you're going to get the answers is from a higher authority, from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He talks about this very clearly. He describes what this body is and how we leave it and what happens, why we go to another body, which part of us goes to the next body, and so forth. That's good information to have, don't you think? Like on a scale of 1 to 10. 10's like the most important and 1's like not really important at all. Well, how important do you think it is? 10.5 we got in the front row. That's a lot, 10.5. Okay, so here's some practical points. If we're not engaged in a conscious program for improvement designed by higher spiritual authorities who know what they're talking about, starting with Krishna. And Krishna does know what he's talking about because he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Veda ham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishani cha bhutani mamcha veda nakashchana. And that is that I know everything, and I know where you've been, and I know all living entities, I know all the circumstances you've been in and where you're going to go. If you keep it up, whatever you're doing now, I know how you're going to end up. And we don't know that, nor does our college counselor know that, nor do our parents know that, nor do our friends who wish us well but have no idea where we're going to end up. So the first sentence is, if I'm not engaged in a conscious program for improvement designed by Krishna, I'm engaged in an unconscious program designed by Maya. See, Maya has a program for us. It's ready-made, and we get it by default unless we accept a program for improvement based on Krishna's teachings. So what are the choices? A free program designed by Maya is given free. Or, what's the second choice? What is it? Okay, a program. Okay, good. Those are the two. A consciously designed program. So you have to be conscious. If you remain unconscious, you get the default program. And Krishna warns us in the Bhagavad Gita, fair warning, it's not very nice. You will be constantly troubled by your contact with material nature. And you don't come out of material nature by accident. You have to be deliberate about it. And so that's what this is about. Here, this ISKCON society, it's a very serious proposition. It's not a social club. It's meant to, that's there too, and it's important. That's very important. But ultimately, it's meant to offer us a program that we can follow voluntarily and deliberately in order to improve ourselves spiritually, to come out of the program that Maya designed for us many, many years ago, and which I've been blindly following without question. What do you think of the pundit bit? Yes? Okay. There are more quizzes to come, so stand by. So, in the Gita, Krishna says in 340, since I've been talking about the Gita so much, Gita, not Gita, Gita, 340, Indriyani, Mano Budhir. You want to hear some Sanskrit, right? Say yes. Indriyani Mano Budhir, Asyadhishtanam Uchite, Etar Vimohayat Yesha, Gyanam Avrita Dehinam. Let's bathe in this intellect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's saying right here, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers real knowledge and of the living entity and bewilders him. So, in this section of the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna's talking about is how I, as a pure soul, become affected by my environment. And he specifically mentions the mode of nature called Rajagun, which fills me up with a desire to stay in contact with material nature and try to enjoy. And that Rajagun becomes prominent in several places. One is in the mind, the other is in the senses, and the other is in the intellect. And Krishna's almost describing in militaristic terms here that we're engaged in a kind of a strategic war with the enemy, which he's describing as lust or intense desire to stay in the material world and try to enjoy the senses, which is induced by my association with Rajagun. Is that clear philosophically? Clear enough? Okay, good. So we have this battle going on. And it's not so easy to win because this Rajagun is all pervading. And there are various philosophies, which you've noticed around the world, where people try to compensate for this, or they try to overcome the influence of Rajagun. One of the philosophies, Charvak Muni, an ancient philosopher in India, suggested that you just give into it and say, what the heck? I mean, I'm here for a while. The senses I have are, meant for enjoying, and I should just try to enjoy as much as you can, and therefore you should beg, borrow, or steal, but try to get ghee. I mean, back then that was the height of sense gratification, to have everything cooked in ghee. But other philosophers we know talk about, okay, renounce the world, because if you take a look around, you can understand that because of my engagement in the world, I'm suffering because of desire. So they try to give it up. And then on the other side, there's the path of trying to enjoy it. And neither of them works. According to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, we become engaged in a system called bhakti-yoga. On one side, I try to enjoy, and when I become frustrated enjoying, then I try to give it all up. And when I give it all up, I can't remain in that situation. I become imbalanced, and I desire sense gratification again. And I pendulum back and forth between these two extremes. So he recommended, did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the middle path through which we could engage our senses and at the same time purify them. And now, I'm going to tell you the great secret of overcoming Rajagun. First, look at 325.18 in the Bhagavatam. This is the way to lessen the influence of the mode of the lower modes, especially Rajagun, in your life. Does that sound helpful? Okay. Let's read it. Oh, you hear the Sanskrit. Jnana vairagya yuktena bhakti-yoga yuktena chatmana paripashyat yudasinam prakritim cha hataujasam. Nice word, hataujasam. Look at hataujasam. Hata ojasam, reduced in strength. This is how to reduce. First of all, when you go to the doctor, let's get you calmed down here a little bit. How to reduce the strength of the modes of nature. And here's the translation. In that position of self-realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. And I'll read Prabhupada's purport, because it's good to have Prabhupada's voice in here. As the contamination of the germs of a particular disease can influence a weaker person, similarly the influence of material nature or illusory energy can act on the weaker or conditioned soul, but not on the liberated soul. Self-realization is the position of the liberated state. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. Without knowledge, one cannot have what? The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit makes him unattached to material conditional life. That is the beginning of devotional service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. In this verse, it is therefore stated, Jnana vairagya yuktena. When one is in full knowledge of one's constitutional position and is in the renounced order of life, detached from material attraction, then by pure devotional service, bhakti-yoga, he can engage himself as a loving servant of the Lord. But this only works for older people, right? For kids, it is not applicable? Is it applicable for young people? Okay, good. All right. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Narada Pancharat. Oh, did I miss something? Okay. Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. Then the influence of material nature becomes almost nil. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. When one is self-realized, He becomes happy and free from the influence of material nature, and at that time he is freed from lamentation and hankering. The Lord states that position as mad bhaktim labate param, the real state of beginning devotional service. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Narada Pancharatra that when the senses are purified, they can then be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. We heard that yesterday, right? Didn't we? How's the verse start? Sarvapadi vanir muktam pratvena nirbalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchate. This is a verse from the Narada Pancharatra, which says that the way to purify the senses is by engaging them in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. So this is proof that by bhakti-yoga, devotional service, one gains jnana, knowledge, you understand things as they are, and you also get vairagya, or a sense of a power of detachment from the less important things in the world. You can move about and use the world in Krishna's service, but you don't become overly attached to it and thus out of balance and forget your ultimate purpose in life. So all these things come by engaging in devotional service. Now, you might ask, so how do we engage in devotional service? And I'm going to cut to a section of the Bhagavatam in the Madhya Lila. And it's the Madhya Lila 7.129. In which Lord Chaitanya gives a very succinct and shortcut answer to this question. Would you like that? Yes. Because you're in a hurry? You'd like to know right away? Okay, you'd like to have a shortcut and you'd like to know right now, right? And it's got to be simple. Yes or no? Because we could take another half an hour and talk and work our way into it. Okay, so here's what Lord Chaitanya says, but let's look at verse 128 first. Just back up one. There it is. So here's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to Kurma, the Brahmin, when he's touring South India. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just for context, is Krishna himself, but he appears as a devotee. When he's 24, he takes sannyas for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness. And one of the ways that he spread Krishna consciousness is he walked barefoot all over South India and went town to town and met people. And he spoke one-on-one to the most important people in the towns, and he taught them the system of bhakti-yoga for several years. And so this is an example of what he taught. Now, according to the line of teachings that we're in, this is the most important information to have. It's coming right from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's Krishna acting as a devotee to give an example of what we need to do in order to have a program in order to get out of the material nature. So here's his advice. Jari dheko tare kaha Krishnupadesh amara gaya guru haya tara edesh. And the translation is, instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. So this is an open instruction for everybody. It applies to anyone who wants to take it. And as Prabhupada begins the purport, this is the sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Many people come and inquire whether they have to give up family life to join the society, but this is not our mission. One can remain comfortably in his residence. Anyone here in residence? Is it comfortable? No? Well, it doesn't get any better than Silicon Valley. I hate to break it to you, but there is no better place. So if you're not comfortable now, just get used to it. One can remain comfortably in his residence. We simply request everyone to chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If one is a little literate and can read Bhagavad Gita as it is in Srimad Bhagavatam, that is so much the better. These works are now available in English translation and are here in our front lobby, done very authoritatively to appeal to all classes of men. Instead of living engrossed in material activities, People throughout the world should take advantage of this movement and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at home with their families. One should also refrain from sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Out of these 4 items, illicit sex is very sinful. Every person must get married. Every woman especially must get married. If the women outnumber the men, someone can accept more than one wife. Probably repudiated that later. Didn't recommend it. In that way, it's part of the Vedic culture. It's more men than women. In that way, there will be no prostitution in society. If men can marry more than one wife, illicit sex will be stopped. One can also produce many nice preparations to offer to Krishna: grains, fruit, flowers, and milk. Why should one indulge in unnecessary meat eating and maintain horrible slaughterhouses? What is the use of smoking and drinking tea and coffee? People are already intoxicated by material enjoyment. If they indulge in further intoxication, what chance is there for self-realization? Similarly, one should not partake in gambling and unnecessarily agitate the mind. The real purpose of human life is to attain the spiritual platform and return to Godhead. That is the summum bonum of spiritual realization. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to elevate human society to the perfection of life by pursuing the method described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his advice to the Brahmana Kurma. This is, one should stay at home, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and preach the instructions of Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Now I take you to the next verse for the closing remarks. And that is, let's see the translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further advised Brahmana Kurma, if you follow this instruction, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. Indeed, if you follow these regulative principles, we will again meet here, or rather, you will never lose my company. And Prabhupada goes on to explain in the purport that this is an opportunity for everyone. And he mentions here that if you just follow these simple principles, they're not unreasonable, they're very simple, and chant Hare Krishna and use the balance of your energy to teach others about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, you'll never be affected by Maya. And this is the topmost plan which was passed down to us by Srila Prabhupada and as taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can stay wherever you are and practice chanting Hare Krishna and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, but then teach it to other people. Because when you do that, then you please Krishna very much and Lord Chaitanya very much, and the realizations become profound, and Krishna protects those who try to teach Krishna consciousness to others. Those are my introductory statements, and now we'll take any kind of questions that you may have or a reflection. Shraddha.
I was just thinking about your last comment that you made about how Krishna protects those who are spreading the words of and glories of Krishna. That in a similar line, when...
We need a little more juice on the yellow mic, please.
So I was just reflecting on the last comment that you made, that Krishna protects those who are spreading Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
And I was saying that even in the material side of the world, we see that whenever there's an epidemic, somehow the doctors are protected for a long time.
Yes.
So it's just the parallel.
In the Gita, Krishna says that one who teaches the Bhagavad Gita to others is the most dear to me. And that person, he said, is guaranteed devotional service and coming back home, back to Godhead. So if you take to the life of teaching Krishna consciousness, you'll be immediately appreciated by Krishna. And this is the goal of bhakti and of yoga, to become noticed by Krishna. Bali Mardan has come alive back there. That means things are going to get lively out here. We need to share a mic with Bali Mardan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I like your point you mentioned about the questions, the basic thing. Who are you? How long you've been there? So, and your answers were really appropriate, which connects the spirituality. Just like you mentioned about Delhi, or how you're flying in 14 hours, as well as we lose our freedom. So because we all want freedom, so this is really a good reflection. Because Bhagavatam also, it is a question and answer, just like the 6 question answered by the sages. So similarly, our life is there, but we need to orient our answers towards spirituality. Thanks for bringing that.
Thank you, Bali Mardam Prabhu. That was astounding. Okay, and we have Kanka.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Maharaj. Very nice class. I also really appreciated hearing those questions, because so many times I think devotees will think the same thing, like, wait a minute, who am I? Okay, so, but what I really like is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how much Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made this so practical and logical, that just simple, like his teachings to the Kurma Brahman are amazing.
Yes, thank you very much. We can extrapolate from this, Prabhupada says, of what he taught to everybody. Prabhupada mentions in this section that what he taught to Kurma was the same instruction he gave everywhere he went. Sumati.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I am concerned about when we love a pet or child. Child is, I think, a little easier to answer this question. But it's very easy to love a pet. And I don't want to end up like Bharat Maharaj. How can that be avoided?
Well, pets can preach too. And if you engage your pet in the Sankirtan movement, if it's a cat, you have got a little smaller backpack and you may not be as cooperative, but we used to have a dog as a member of our party. A yogi was a Japanese dog who didn't attend a lot of Mangalartiks or Bhagavatam classes, but we did have a backpack for Yogi, and Yogi kept books in the backpack. And when we go on Harinam Sankirtan, people would come out and say, "What a nice dog, and what are those books?" They're books on yoga. What's the name of the dog? Yogi. Yogi actually made it on the newsletter. Well, it's not that it's mentioned, even Sarvabhauma. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said even a dog in the home, of course, I doubt if he kept him in the house, of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is dear to me. It's nice if the animals can do a little service. And we remember that they're also living entities. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavihastani Shuni Chaiva Shupakecha Pandita Samadarshina. One who's developed one's vision sees that there's a soul within everybody. And no, we shouldn't become sentimentally attached either way. And be careful. Yes, who was next? Yeah. Are there more mics too? Can spread them around. And we're running out of time, so.
Maharaj?
Yes? Yes?
Nice
Prabhu.
Class about how to escape the influence of the material nature. My question is, only through the process of devotional service and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, one can escape the influence of this material nature, which is really troublesome to the conditioned soul. Is it possible for the conditioned soul to not only escape the influence of the material nature, but also be Brahmabhuta?
Brahmabhuta?
Brahmabhuta.
Brahmabhuta, prasannatma, nashochati nakangshati, samak sarvishu bhuteshu, mad bhaktim labate param. So what Krishna is saying in this verse, which I'll translate, the translation is that when one comes to the spiritual platform, which is called Brahma Bhuta, then one becomes joyful, prasannatma, and there's nashochati nakangshati means there's no hankering and lamentation. Means we're not, we have developed an inner life, so we're feeling self-satisfied. We're not so much dependent on the what I'm going to get or what I didn't get. It's more, in other words, it's more important what we are than what we have. And then finally he says, Samak sarvishu bhuteshu, one develops equal vision towards all living entities, which means there's no more envy. Generally, when I'm envious of others from the bodily platform of life, I'm considering all the time, how come they have more than me? But one who's developed spiritual vision sees that the world is working perfectly by Krishna's arrangement and that my life is working in order because Krishna's ordering it and I'm surrendered to Krishna. So mad bhaktim labhate para means this is the gateway to devotional service. In other words, one enters into devotional service from this position, the liberated position. So the answer is yes. When one performs devotional service, one naturally comes to this position, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti-yoga Prayojita Janaya Yashuvairagyam Jnanam Chayara Haitukam. By performing direct processes of bhakti, like chanting Hare Krishna and doing service for Krishna, one naturally will come to the Brahma-bhuta position, especially one also has to control the senses. Another question? Yes, Prabhu. 1, 2, 3.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned something about replacement therapy.
Yes, replacement therapy.
I was thinking about the Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehina Rasavarcham Rasopyasya Parandrishtva Nivartante. And you very nicely developed and you concluded that by saying we don't have to give up our material designations, but just by adding Krishna consciousness and chanting and spreading it to everyone, we can actually release this. So that was very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, the only replacement for, the only thing wilder, the only crazier stories that you'll find than the 24-hour news cycle. I mean, it's practically insane what comes out of that is in Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, the stories in Srimad Bhagavatam are so otherworldly and fantastical that they cannot be matched anywhere. I mean, just take the story of Sadumna riding into the forest and all of a sudden his whole... That's better than any soap opera. They'll go through, everyone wants some intrigue, some drama. It's all there in the Bhagavatam. Every note is touched in the Bhagavatam. It satisfies every craving of the mind for some kind of intrigue. And it's all these histories of the entire universe, and it's all bringing us back to Krishna. So it's really important, for instance, to read Krishna book and hear of Uttama Shloka, or Krishna who's, you can't describe, even with the best of words, that it takes the best of words to describe Krishna's activities and his features and qualities. But even those don't completely satiate. We always want to hear more. So that's important, especially transferring the hearing process, because it's natural to want to hear some story. That's why people like to watch Netflix. It's very popular all over the world. 178 million members just in America, I think. Wait a minute. There are that many people in America? Apparently everybody has it. Except for me, I don't have it. But it's the reason is it's stories. We want to hear stories. We want to hear about relationships, dramas, and so forth. But they're all the same story over and over again. And the songs are basically the same songs over and over again, just in slightly different combinations. People get sued all the time because, hey, wait a minute, that's my song. It's like, it's slightly different, But the plot theme, there's formulaic plots that, boy meets girl, gets more complicated, and everyone's like, whoa. But if you want to replace that, then enter into bhajan and the refined poetry of the Bhagavatam. If you can start to appreciate that. Someone the other day was telling me, I like Bhagavatam, I like to hear Bhagavatam. I said, you're a fortunate person. If your mind's attracted to that, then it starts to be unattached from all the other stuff. So that's just noise. That's how one thinks of it. You can deal with it, you can hear it and process it, but it's not appealing at all. And Prabhupada said the replacement for gambling, anybody addicted to gambling in here? Go ahead, raise your hand. No, just kidding. 5% of the population apparently is addicted to gambling, and the replacement for gambling is to surrender to Krishna. Just double down on that. So you're actually going to do this? And it's like, yep, I'm doing it. I'm going to put my whole life on the line and just surrender to Krishna. So that's a heavy gamble. You know, people look at you and go like, what are you doing that for? The materialist. When I first joined the temple, San Francisco, my friends from high school came and said, you're really going to do this? You've given up your whole youth? And I was like, heck yeah. And, you know, I'm gambling on it, and I won. So you can double down. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I had
Here. Okay.
I had actually two questions. First is about Jare Dekho Tare Kaho Krishna Upadesh. So, but Prabhu, in case of preaching, sometimes we have to do discrimination. Like if you see someone is atheistic or not respectful, we don't preach to them. So in
Correct.
such a case, is it the correct way?
In such a case, you wish them well. Don't intimidate them by trying to give them something they're not interested. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can lead a man to wisdom, but you can't make him think. So don't try to press it. But Jiva Goswami says you let him alone, but then you walk away and you pray for that person and think, how could Krishna's benediction come to such a person? And to that end, I would like to start here at the Sunday program, right here in our what do we call recreational area outside, along with the tent. I'd like to start a prayer station where we could have a little area where people could come out and offer special prayers, and the devotees could help pray for people. We need more prayer in our lives, don't we? Yeah, so there could be a prayer station there. The prayers will be so intense coming from that one station right here in our recreational area outside. I'm resisting saying parking lot. That there'll be an aura around this place. I mean, people will be drawn to it. The power of prayer is so intense. It's very subtle, but very intense. So, yes, that's the answer. And then we just have room for one more.
Yeah.
One or two. Shraddha, get her, Shraddha and Mike in the meantime. No, okay, go ahead. Pass it up. One question per customer. Because we're running out of time. Go ahead.
This came as an anonymous question.
Anonymous. Uh-oh.
Yeah. In spite of spending many years in Krishna consciousness, I feel I have no control on my tongue while talking, and even basic Krishna conscious behavior. Even my dear ones feel so. It is not a question of humility, but what can be fundamentally wrong that I need to focus on?
Well, good association helps. The more you put yourself in the association of others who are at a high level of Krishna consciousness, the more it'll rub off on you. And the other thing is, you have to beg. If you really want something, you have to beg for it. And I was thinking about this the other day, because this principle, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, that's really a chance to really open your heart and beg Krishna to please help me improve. And so I was thinking about the principle of begging, and I was thinking of the times that I've given to beggars. I mean, around Kartik time in Govardhan, there are a lot of beggars. They're professionals. I know they come out just for that time of year, and they really put on a show. It's almost like Halloween sometimes, because some of them have all these props, like there's this thing about the leg being torn open or something like that, but actually it's makeup, you know. I've seen all these up close because of doing parikram every day, and I see them coming out, setting up, putting the makeup on, and then... And the thing is, so here's why, when you can perceive in someone who's begging a sincere need, you actually perceive it, people will give to that person unabashedly. You know, their heart will go out to them. The person really needs it, and that there's a dire need for it. And so when we perceive that in ourselves, that I really need this, I really need to surrender to Krishna, if we're able to broadcast that kind of vibration when we're chanting, that Krishna, I really need you. I really need to surrender, and I have no qualification at all. That's begging. I have nothing and I have no right to ask, but I'm asking anyway because I really need it. If I can feel that need so deeply and express it through my words that I'm helpless because I'm getting in my own way, if you can make one mantra like that, Krishna will respond. And that's the secret Bhaktivinoda Thakur says to moving ahead in bhakti. You really got to want it. It's a secret to anything, actually. But especially in bhakti, if you really want it bad enough, then, and you put that into the words of the feeling of the Maha Mantra when you chant, then everything will change and you'll start to improve. So we've come to the end because we need a few minutes to get ready before the artik. If I'm not incorrect. Okay, just want to make sure what's going on around here. Pardon me? Yes. So what we're going to do now, and sorry, if you didn't get asked a question and it's a burning question, then we'll hang around afterwards. And if you want to have a conversation and bring up any more of these points, then please just come and grab me. Now we're going to move all the asanas back. So we're going to roll up this rug, move all the obstructions out of the way so you can dance to your heart's content here on this beautiful wooden floor made with trees that sacrificed their lives just so you could chant Hare Krishna and dance upon them. We thank everybody for joining us tonight from the United Citizens of the Transcendental Airwaves. We remind you to keep the transcendental vibration going, to stay absorbed in the flow of selfless service, and remember, where attention goes, energy flows. Thank you very much. Gaur Premanande.